It's the top of the hour, and this is KYOK Conroe, Houston on AM 1140, 92.3 FM, and streaming live on KYOKradio.org. I am Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Thank you for joining me. I'm filling in once again for AJ Jones, who's taking some time off. He'll be back Friday, so you'll have one more day with me talking hoops and a little bit more. And I keep forgetting to do this the first two times I've been on this week. So I'm going to give some updates, some hoop updates. And that includes the WNBA. Because I think my first guest cares a little bit about the WNBA. And I'll ask her when I bring her on in a minute. But last night, the Chicago Sky. Well, let me go with this. The chosen one, Serena Ionescu, New York Liberty, had her first triple-double of her young NBA career, became the youngest player in the history of the WNBA to post a triple-double to lead the Liberty to an 86-70 win over the Minnesota Lynx. Sylvia Fowles' Big Seal led the Lynx with 26 points. Ionescu's triple-double was 26 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds. Her teammate, Betnijah Laney, continued her hot start to this season with 20 points. Laney has tallied 20 or more points in each of Liberty's first 3 games. New York is 3-0 this season, and the Lynx are 0-2. The Phoenix Mercury improved to 2-1 with a 91-70 road win over the Washington Mystics. With the loss, Washington is 0-2. Diana Taurasi scored 17 points to lead 6 Mercury players in double-digit scoring. 2 Houston area products helped Phoenix earn the win. Brittany Griner had 14 points and 10 rebounds, and Brianna Turner scored 10 points and snared 14 boards. The Las Vegas Aces even their record at 1-1 with a 96-80 win over the Seattle Storm. Seattle is also 1-1 now. The 2 teams squared off on Saturday, May 15th on ABC in the season opener for both squads, and Seattle won that game 97-83. Jackie Young scored 21 points to lead Las Vegas. Asia Wilson added a double-double with 18 points and 11 rebounds. Liz Cambage also scored 18 points in just 22 minutes on 8 for 10 field goal shooting. Brianna Stewart scored 26 points to lead Seattle. Las Vegas made 37 of 69 field goal attempts, including 6 for 15 from three-point range, while the Storm shot just 7 for 25 from three-point range in the ball game. And don't worry for those folks whose eyes may be rolling in the back of their head. What is KG doing giving WNBA scores? That's what I do. I cover basketball. But I'm also going to give you a recap of NBA action. Jason Tatum proved me wrong last night. Monday on this show, I said there was, outside of the Celtics locker room, no way anybody was going to pick Boston to beat the Wizards. Mr. Tatum said, I'll show you, Chris. He dropped a 50-piece on the Wizards Tuesday night in Boston's 118-100 win to advance the 7th seed Celtics to a first-round playoff matchup against the 2nd seed Brooklyn Nets. Game 1 of the Celtics-Nets series will begin Saturday, May 22nd at 7 p.m. on ABC. The May 22nd playoff schedule begins with Miami Heat playing the Milwaukee Bucks at 1 p.m. on ESPN, followed by the Dallas Mavericks squaring off against the LA Clippers at 3:30 p.m. also on ESPN. And the final game of Saturday's 4-game playoff slate will be between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Denver Nuggets. That game is scheduled to tip off at 9:30 p.m. on ESPN. Jason Tatum shot 14 for 32 from the floor and a perfect 17 for 17 from the free throw line. The Celtics outscored the Wizards 66-46 in the second half to change a 2-point halftime deficit into an 18-point victory. Kemba Walker added 29 points for Boston. Bradley Beal scored 22 points to lead the Wizards. Brad shot just 10 for 25 from the floor, including 1 for 6 from 3. Russell Westbrook scored on 6 for 18. He scored 20 points on 6 for 18 field goal shooting. Russ was 0 for 4 from three-point range, but he did have 14 rebounds and 5 dimes. The Wizards missed 18 of 21 three-point attempts and shot just 43.5%, 40 for 92 from the floor. The 8th seed Wizards will face the 9th seed Indiana Pacers Thursday, May 20th at 7 p.m. on TNT. The winner of that game will face the top seed Philadelphia 76ers in the first round on Sunday, May 23rd. The Pacers blasted the 10th seed Charlotte Hornets in the first game of the 2021 NBA play-in tournament. Final score was 144-117. 7 Pacers scored in double figures, led by O'Shea Brissett's 23 points. Doug McDermott was next with 21 points. Pacers big man Domantas Sabonis scored 14 points, pulled down 21 rebounds, and dished out 9 assists to help replace Karis LeVert, who missed the game due to health and safety protocols. Tonight's slate of playing games includes the 10th seed San Antonio Spurs in Memphis to face the 9th seed Memphis Grizzlies at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN. The Spurs have lost 4 straight and 10 of 12. The loser of the game is done for the 2020-21 NBA season. The winner of the Grizz-Spurs matchup will face the loser of tonight's 7th seed LA Lakers, 8th seed Golden State Warriors matchup on Friday, May 21st at 8 p.m. on ESPN. The Lakers-Warriors game is scheduled to tip off tonight at 9 p.m. on ESPN. Steph versus LeBron. Get your popcorn ready. The winner of the Lakers-Warriors tilt will be the 7th seed and face the 2nd seed Phoenix Suns in the first round. And with that, I'm going to bring in my first guest. I believe she is from San Antonio. I'm not sure if she's still a Spurs fan, but we're going to find out right now as I bring in Tai Dillard-Mouton, assistant coach for the Houston Cougars women's basketball team. How you doing, Coach?
Hey, Chris. I'm well. How have you been?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm trying to get used to this this live radio stuff, and
it's pretty cool.
Broadening my horizons, and we'll see how things play out. And I asked you about a question to arrange this show. To Tanisha Jefferson.
Oh yes, Soror Jefferson.
And you are a Delta, right?
Yes, yes.
Today is Tanisha's birthday, which would have been her 49th birthday.
Yes.
So I'm kind of dedicating this show to her, and it just works out that you are one of 4 women who are guests on this show. So just kind of maybe she had a hand in that, arranging this episode. So thank you, Tai, for being on the show today.
Thank you.
I don't want to put up the hand sign, whatever, but ironically, my mom, for the first time this week, wanted to watch the show. My mom is a Delta.
Hey, Soror.
So she should be tuning in, watching this as well. And if I remember Tanisha telling me this, my mom was either on the first or second line at Delta at UT.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my mom is a legacy.
Yes.
So very cool with that. But now let's talk some hoops. And I got about 2 minutes with you right now. And I'll go to a quick break and come back to finish talking with you some more.
Okay.
But one of the reasons I wanted you on the show today was you are a coaching mom. Go into detail about that. How old is your son? And how was the adjustment? How have you adjusted so far from when he was first born to now?
My son Langston is 5 years old. He'll be 6 in November. And the adjustment, I will say it hasn't been difficult. It's been some challenges, but nothing that I haven't been able to overcome with the great support system that I have, especially working with a family person like Coach Huey as well. But the biggest thing in adjusting, being a mom and a coach, is you have to plan things out. You can't just go on a whim. You have to have backup plans to your backup plans. And that's where having a really good support system comes into play. But it's been a great 5 years. Langston, he's got his routine. He's becoming Mr. Independent. And so, next thing I just need to teach him how to cook. And then my job is done. He's on his own.
Coach Tai, can you cook now? I mean, really? I've heard about rumors. I've heard you can, but I haven't tasted it myself. So, really, can you?
I have a few dishes I feel are pretty good, and I've had lots of compliments about them. But hey, as long as the family's fed and satisfied, it's all good.
Okay, we're gonna go to this first break because tomorrow I got Coach Huey on. So if I remember, I'm going to ask him about your cooking skills.
Okay.
So see what he says right there.
Okay.
But I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. You tune in to the lunch break on KYOK Radio. Going to take this 90-second break and be right back.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama, and I wanted to let you know that Barack and I couldn't be more thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine. This is a deadly disease, and we know the vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. It's how we'll start getting back to seeing friends and family and doing all those things we love again. So I hope you'll join me, Barack, and millions of others around the country and get your vaccine as soon as it's available to you. It's safe, it's free, and it could save your life or the life of someone you love. To learn more, just go to cdc.gov/coronavirus. I know it's been a long, hard year, but we can beat back this pandemic. With your help, we can do this.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
In Jesus Christ, we are victors and not victims. We are the head and not the tail. We are above and not beneath. We depend on God alone and not the world systems. UCA is a nonprofit faith-based organization that is committed to restoring, promoting, and protecting America's traditional values of God, family, and country in urban areas. We desire to empower, educate, shape, and mold the minds of future generations. Join our mission at www.urbconusa.org. All donations are tax deductible. This is Sean Scott, co-founder of Urban Conservatives of America. God bless.
And we're back on the lunch break. I am Chris Gardner, filling in for AJ Jones this week, well, Monday through Thursday on KYOK, the legendary KYOK, at kyokradio.org. I'm speaking with Tai Dillard-Mouton, assistant coach for the U of H women's basketball team. Let's talk some hoops, Coach Tai.
Okay.
Give me your history. Well, let's talk about, I think I laid into it. You're from San Antonio.
Yes.
Are you still a Spurs fan?
I will be a Spurs fan. I know we've had a few years of some struggles, but I am a Spurs fan, but I really just watch NBA once it gets closer to the playoffs. So if the Spurs aren't in the playoffs, then I'm not a fan of them during the playoff season. But I'll always be a fan of the Spurs. They still have a top-notch organization.
And Tai, they got 5 rings, so you can hang your hat on.
Yeah.
5 championships and rub it in a lot of folks' faces. So, like Rocket fans, and Rocket fans have 2. So,
right. Oh yeah, I don't even argue with Rockets fans because but the Rockets they're still building, and they'll get some success going here. So,
hopefully, because a successful Rockets is better for my business.
Right.
It draws more interest and support for me.
Exactly.
Okay, so for folks who don't know anything about Tai Dillard-Mouton, you play basketball.
I played a little bit of basketball, little hoops.
You're being modest. So go back to your high school career, high school, college, pro, and just enlighten folks on your skills on the court.
See, I graduated from Sam Houston High School in San Antonio in 1999. Went to state my junior and senior year. Was voted or appointed, not appointed, but selected as Miss Basketball for Texas when I was a senior. Went to the University of Texas at Austin and played for Jody Conrad. Played in the Final Four my senior year, lost to UConn by 2. We should have won that game. But
you're not bitter.
I'm not. Oh, no, that was years ago. It's all good. After that, I went to and played for the Wnba. Was invited to the training, made me with the San Antonio Silver Stars, and luckily, and it was a blessed situation because that was the first year that the team had just transferred from Utah to San Antonio. So they were the former Utah Stars, and so when they came to San Antonio, they became the San Antonio Stars, Silver Stars. So played with the Silver Stars for 3 years. Played for Candy Harvey, D Brown, and played for Dan Hughes as well. And then after that, after my 3rd year, I began to coach. I also played overseas in Israel for a season, but after my 3rd year in the WNBA, I went back to my high school and became an assistant coach there for a couple years, and then went on to start my collegiate coaching at UTSA in 2007. And then Oh, go ahead.
What was your experience in Israel? Because I didn't know that you played in Israel for a year. What was that like?
Oh, Israel, that was probably a great overseas experience. Israel, it's very Americanized over there. There are 3 Americans per team. They speak English. And so I had a really, really good experience. I know, right now things are really intense over there. Even when I was there would be moments where there were some intense moments, but it was a really good experience. The team I played on, they were a really good family team. But I'm a real big on family and not missing out on things. And so I missed out on a lot of family things. So that's why I decided just to come on back home and start my college or coaching career.
Okay, so you went to coach at UTSA. So talk about that, and then go off there. Then you had other stops before coming to U of H.
Yeah. So I was at UTSA for 5 years. We went to the NCAA tournament 2 of those 5 years. And then after my 5th year, I got an opportunity to go to USC with Michael Cooper. And I was at USC for a year with Michael Cooper. He had resigned at the end of that year. And, it was a great year for me because it helped me grow in that career. I was able to expand my network. And from there, got a call and got on the staff over at Ole Miss with Matt Insel. And again, I was just there a year as well because Coach Huey had called when he had got the Houston job. But, being in the Pac-12 and the SEC, it was a great learning years for me, great years of growth and building my network and meeting different people and different coaches across the country. And so it was blessed for Coach Huey to call me back, to Texas. I'm a Texas girl. So it was really great just to come back closer to home and, help build this with Coach Huey. So I've been at U of H now, just finished my 7th year at U of H. So what is that, 14 years of coaching, I guess, that I've been at the collegiate level?
You've been in it for a minute, so kudos to you for that. So
thank you.
Describe the process since you've been at U of H, the building from when you first got there to now.
Oh, it's been a process. Just coming in, just from the growth of the facilities and moving from Hofheinz over into, Fertitta, but moving from Hofheinz to Guy V. Lewis. When we first got here, really trying to build just a good firm base, and then growing from that. We've had, ups and downs, but it's all part of the growing process. And I think, what we've built is definitely going in the right direction. But, being here at the beginning of the building, it's rewarding just to see where it's, come and, the work that you put behind it. It's just rewarding because, you put a lot of work behind it, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears behind it. So.
And a lot of the success is focused on the men's team, but some of the same problems that Hofheinz was a dump. Just point blank, Hofheinz was a dump. So
it was just it was an older building, but it had a lot of history into it. I think that was.
I know. But it still was a dump. Come on, Tai. You don't have to say it, but I'll say it for you.
Yeah, and
it was due for some upgrade.
Yeah, when you're recruiting against Power Fives and other major conferences, there are some things that you want to build on so that you can compete, with who you're recruiting against. But you can beat history too sometimes. So.
Did you and Coach Huey, before Fertitta Center was built, did y'all show recruits the renderings, the drawings of this is what it's going to look like? Oh yeah. How'd that work?
That was the exciting part for a lot of recruits, especially recruits in the area and their parents, just showing them the renderings. And then, once Guy Lewis was built up, being able to show them that, and then even just taking them on campus and showing them the growth of campus, because, people kind of have this perception that, U of H is a commuter school, but it's grown into more than that. And so, especially with a lot of local people, it really surprised them and, put some excitement in some of them. So, but yeah, we would show them the renderings. There are a lot of 3D apps that we were able to use to kind of show them what things would look like, videos that were produced to show what it would look like. So that it definitely helped in a lot of recruiting presentations.
Okay, can you hold on and I'll come back to you for a few more segments because I got to go to another break here because I got one question that popped in my head I really want to ask you about. But okay, so this is Chris Gardner on the lunch break on KYOK. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama, and I wanted to let you know that Barack and I couldn't be more thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine. This is a deadly disease, and we know the vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. It's how we'll start getting back to seeing friends and family and doing all those things we love again. So I hope you'll join me, Barack, and millions of others around the country and get your vaccine as soon as it's available to you. It's safe, it's free, and it could save your life or the life of someone you love. To learn more, just go to cdc.gov/coronavirus. I know it's been a long, hard year, but we can beat back this pandemic. With your help, we can do this.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
In Jesus Christ, we are victors and not victims. We are the head and not the tail. We are above and not beneath. We depend on God alone and not the world systems. UCA is a nonprofit faith-based organization that is committed to restoring, promoting, and protecting America's traditional values of God, family, and country in urban areas. We desire to empower, educate, shape, and mold the minds of future generations. Join our mission at www.urbconusa.org. All donations are tax deductible. This is Sean Scott, co-founder of Urban Conservatives of America. God bless.
We're back on the lunch break. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, filling in for AJ Jones through Thursday. Coach Tai Dillard is joining me right now from Wnba Women's Basketball. Coach, you touched on the Guy V. Lewis Development Center, and I really wanted you to emphasize this point. The women's team has their own court and their own side of the facilities. It's not just the fellas' facility. Mm-hmm. How important and beneficial is that? And how rare is that for women's basketball teams on the D1 level to have their own practice court?
Oh, well, it's very beneficial and very much needed. When we first got here and we would have to share the court in Hofheinz with men's basketball and volleyball, you want to have that opportunity to be on your court so that your players can come in and, get up shots whenever. If you want to get in some extra workouts, you can go to just your court. And so the girls really utilize it. We have some that are, morning birds that like to come early in the morning and get shots up. Some come, in the evening when they're done with everything. So just having that opportunity and access to come into your court and get up shots has been pretty vital for us.
Let's get into this past season's most recent season, COVID season. Mm-hmm. How difficult was it? How challenging was it for the team? Well, first, how was it for you? Did COVID, were you impacted? Anyone in your family, you impacted by COVID? How was that?
I actually thought I had COVID before they had even shut down the country. Right when we were getting back from conference tournament, just from looking at the symptoms, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely had that. But, throughout the year, my family had its bout with it. I had to miss 2 games. And then my family, we all had to stay home. But, I have to, I tip my hat off to the girls. They, really disciplined and really locked in as far as staying as safe as possible. It's, as a college kid, it is, it can be difficult when you're not able to really experience college life, having to be in your dorm room all day or just in the gym. The girls really, really locked in on that, and, hats off to them. But this year, our training staff, Kaylee and John, they did a tremendous job of making sure we had proper protocols in place and just keeping things really organized and making sure we were all following the exact rules we're supposed to follow so that we wouldn't run into contacting COVID or having to, miss out on things because of contact tracing. But, this year was definitely different. There are some things that that we liked about the year. The way the chairs are really spread out at games, it gives us more room to move around and, be a little bit more active on the bench. The travel was very different. But, again, it just took a lot of discipline and a lot of sacrifice, which everyone did. And, I think, we came out on top, had a really good year despite, the challenges. And so, we'll just build on that, looking forward to the girls coming back in the summer. I will say last summer was quite interesting, not being able to work out how we typically work out in the summers, having to have a lot more individual stuff when you're trying to, do more team stuff to build up for the season. But, it was what it was. The girls locked in, everyone worked hard. So, and I think it showed, by the season we had.
How many games did y'all have to cancel because of COVID?
Ooh, let's see. We canceled, I know it was two conference games. I remember our first Cincinnati game was canceled. Our South Florida game was canceled. We were supposed to go to Cancun, which we had to cancel that, but then we were able to pick up some games to make up for those. But I want to say it was just 2 games we canceled because of COVID. And then we had 1 game canceled because of weather. Back, February, we had to cancel our ECU game because of the weather. So, some programs, I was like, wow, they're every week they're having to cancel a game. But, like I said, our training staff did a tremendous job making sure we were doing what we were supposed to do so that we wouldn't run into that.
Now, this past season, what was the team's record? What y'all finish with?
17-8.
And y'all were the first among the first 4 out.
Yes. I really thought we were going to get in. We had some really good quality wins. And even on our way up to the WNIT, we're sitting there like, anything could happen. They're going to do testing. We might get a call and have to bust a U-turn on this highway and head on back down to San Antonio. But, we were ready. And, I think it lit another fire in the girls just to, do a little bit more this summer so that we're not sitting on that bubble that we're in.
Now, can you talk about let's see, 1, 2, 3 players have signed, transferred to the program this summer? So with this off season, can you talk about them?
Well, the transfers that came in, Aisha, she's coming in from ODU. She played at DeSoto High School with Bria, and one of our freshmen that's coming in that also played at DeSoto. So she'll be coming in as a freshman since she gets that year back. Fatu is a grad transfer who will be coming in from Purdue. She is actually an international student athlete. She's from Senegal. And so she'll probably be in late summer. And then Tamera Knight is a JUCO transfer that'll be coming in.
And when will the team begin working out?
We will start working out June 7th, Monday. Summer school starts June 7th, and we will start June 7th with summer workouts. So looking forward to that.
I was going to say, are you looking forward to that?
Oh, yeah. We're ready to get back into this groove. I think, the girls have been on a break, a good break that they needed. And so we'll get back, get things rolling again, getting that routine back of classes and, workouts, and still, ample time for them to, have rest and still be a student athlete, enjoy their college experience.
Yesterday, Dayon Dunlap joined me on the show, and one of the players he cited as he thinks having a breakout year next season was Jasmine Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I agree with him because of Jasmine's size.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's one of the tallest, biggest players in conference.
Yeah.
I think her skill set and potential is there. What do you think she needs to do to live up to our hype for her?
The biggest thing with Jasmine is her, make sure she stays in condition. She's during the off season, we'll have a good workout plan for her so that she's in, her best condition for the season that's coming up. But she works, she's continuing to work hard on the court, and just keep that fire lit in her. She is a I want to call it mother hen, but she's the mother of the team, so she likes to have the girls over, I think, cooking for them and stuff. So just keeping that fire lit and keeping her working hard and staying in condition throughout the summer. That'll be the biggest thing for her.
And in addition to being the tallest player, I think, on the team, you can also pick her out by her hairstyle or the color of her hair.
And that's, it's like, Jazz, you're tall already. You already draw attention to yourself. But, she has that spirit about her. She's pretty vibrant. She's quiet, but she's still vibrant. Once you crack that shell, she is a vibrant personality. And she does all the styles herself, so we tell her you need to tap into that and, build up that entrepreneurial skill and build a business for yourself and, take it, if you want to go back home, take that back home with you and build it, open up a shop, you run the shop and hire your own employees. So,
yeah.
Yep.
You mentioned this when you first joined me today about the family vibe in the program. Just talk more about the family atmosphere inside U of H women's basketball.
The girls, they all hang out with each other. I know Taylor cooks a lot. Jazz cooks a lot. So they're always in each other's room, either cooking. They go out and celebrate everyone's birthdays. Sometimes, if one's down, they know there's somebody that's going to pick them up and take them for, a little one-on-one, just kind of catch up time. But they just, they really enjoy each other. It was, just seeing them off the courts. There's, it's not really cliquish or anything. But they hang out with each other all the time. We're actually putting them in a new apartment complex that was built around campus. And so, I think the way those apartments are set up and the way they're roomed, it's going to be some fun times with them.
I got to ask you this, because we might have a different opinion of it, but what are your thoughts on ESPN Plus and the conference games, women's games specifically, on ESPN Plus?
It's the visibility. It's visibility for us. Now we'd always want more games and being on regular ESPN, ESPN2, but we just got to keep building up on it. But the visibility is there. So,
can I ask you, or should I wait to ask Coach Huey tomorrow about non-conference opponents for this coming season?
Ask Coach Huey. I know we're still working on some contracts and still finalizing a couple of things, but I would ask Coach Huey. That's between Coach and Coach Sandra. They do the scheduling. Okay. Yeah. Is the team healthy? Because I think at the end of the season, Diamond Gladney was banged up. She's healthy. She's healthy. Okay. She was working out before we went on our summer break. So, Diamond's a soldier. She was wanting to jump out there at the WNIT. And, I was like, you have to tell us when you're hurting because, she'll push through it. But, she's back to normal now. She still does her treatment or rehab, but, she's good to go now. And everybody else is good. Cam is rehabbing. And I think she'll be running here soon, or she's running already. Julia's still rehabbing her knee. And so that'll probably be, late summer once she starts doing a little bit more stuff.
That was one of my questions. Is there a timetable on when Julia Blackshell-Fair will be back on the court for games?
I think she'll be back, at the start of the season.
Really?
Juju, she's a hard worker. She, pushes through. So we'll just see, how she does this summer with her rehab. I'm always confident that, she's gonna, be back, soon. But, it's all about the rehab. And so she, before she left, she was, let's see, what was she doing before she left? She comes up every day still for rehab, even while they're on break. So
she's similar to Fabian White on the fellas side. So we can expect her to come back this season at some point.
Yes. I was looking at her leg before she left, and a lot of times with, ACLs, that leg gets a lot skinnier, but her leg is still pretty muscular. So.
Okay. One last question. I'm going to wrap it up with you before I go to Danielle Lerner from the Houston Chronicle. What are your thoughts on the transfer portal?
It has its it has its positives and its negatives. Obviously positives, you might pull out a player that obviously has played already, has an experience. But the negative, it's, you don't want kids to just, keep jumping, if things get difficult, or if, they're not, there's certain, some situations that you're like, okay, I get it. But some it's like, okay. But, it is what it is. It's here. You just, as a coach, you just work around it. You just adjust to it. So,
Would you have taken advantage of this at Texas? Was
No.
there any time you feel like leaving? Just wondering.
No, I through all the good and bad, I learned a lot, and it made me, the person I am. So no, I probably wouldn't have taken it, transferred. So.
All right, Coach Tai Dillard-Mouton, thank you very much for joining me today on the lunch break. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Just let Coach Huey know to get ready.
Okay.
For tomorrow.
Okay.
Be ready. So,
all
okay.
Right.
Thank you, Tai. Take care.
Hey, you too.
And now I'm going to bring on Danielle Lerner from the Houston Chronicle. Hi, Danielle. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining me. I think you are now the first person who I've interviewed twice.
Maybe. So, I'm honored then.
So I think, especially in this format, media colleague-wise, whatever, because you agreed to join me last year for a podcast, and now this is different being on KYOK. So thank you very much for joining me. I got to ask, have you moved from Memphis to Houston? Are you in Houston now?
Yes, in my new Houston apartment right now. Not loving the weather here that we've had this week so far, but otherwise very, very happy to be here.
So did you have to hunker down last night for any tornado watch warning, anything like that?
Yeah, I was sitting on the floor in my bathroom, which is the only room with no windows, just wrapped in a blanket and with my laptop on the toilet lid, just listening to the Astros game. So that was a fun way to spend an evening. And
you worked at the Daily Memphian last year, so you were there for a year, correct?
Yeah, just one college basketball season.
And the Chronicle made you a great offer that you couldn't refuse to come to H-Town?
Yeah, pretty much. But, I had a great experience in Memphis. I don't regret being there at all. But it's a great city. Loved living there. Loved covering University of Memphis basketball. But, it's exciting to be here. And in my role at the Chronicle, I'm focused on Astros and Rockets, but I really have free reign to go and explore the entire sports landscape here, which obviously is really, really huge. And there's so many stories to tell across all the different teams here. So that's a really exciting opportunity.
And I think we got like 2 minutes before I go to a commercial break, but I think you were able to take advantage of technology because the Chronicle hired you maybe a month or so ago?
Yeah.
But you were able to work for the Chronicle while you were in Memphis. Is that right?
Yeah, that's one way that the pandemic, I guess, has been advantageous in that everything has gone virtual now, and it is easier to, while I was coming here, I came here a couple weeks ago for a short stint and was covering some stuff and also looking for housing, but it did allow me to start this job working remotely about a month ago in the middle of April. But it's definitely better to be here, even though, as most of the press conferences and things after games are still conducted virtually. It's just such an easier experience to get a feel for things when you're in a ballpark or in a stadium, able to, bump elbows with a couple of people up in the press box. So, like I said, I'm just happy to finally be here and getting to know Houston and the sports landscape a little bit more.
Do you think Zoom will continue after this season? Would you prefer it? Would you prefer the Zoom calls for press conferences going forward in the future?
I think that's going to be on a sport by sport basis. Obviously, I hope it doesn't just become the norm for everything, but I think that it would be useful for teams to continue to use Zoom at least maybe once a week or have, some way for people who cover the team remotely, especially national media, to be able to tune in, because that is useful. It is useful in some ways that if I'm covering, an Astros Blue Jays series, it's very easy for me to hop onto the Blue Jays Zoom and ask them questions. You don't have to be in two places at once. So I think there's a use for this type of technology going forward. But my fear, and I think the fear of a lot of reporters, is that it will stay strictly virtual. And, we need those face-to-face interactions to really form meaningful relationships and trust with the people that we cover.
Agreed. And we'll come back to you after this 90-second break. I'm Chris Gardner of Houston Roundball Review. You're listening to The Lunch Break on KYOK.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama, and I wanted to let you know that Barack and I couldn't be more thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine. This is a deadly disease, and we know the vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. It's how we'll start getting back to seeing friends and family and doing all those things we love again. So I hope you'll join me, Barack, and millions of others around the country and get your vaccine as soon as it's available to you. It's safe, it's free, and it could save your life or the life of someone you love. To learn more, just go to cdc.gov/coronavirus. I know it's been a long, hard year, but we can beat back this pandemic. With your help, we can do this.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
In Jesus Christ, we are victors and not victims. We are the head and not the tail. We are above and not beneath. We depend on God alone and not the world systems. UCA is a non-profit faith-based organization that is committed to restoring, promoting, and protecting America's traditional values of God, family, and country in urban areas. We desire to empower, educate, shape, and mold the minds of future generations. Join our mission at www.urbconusa.org. All donations are tax deductible. This is Sean Scott, co-founder of Urban Conservatives of America. God bless.
We're back on The Lunch Break. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, filling in for AJ Jones on the legendary KYOK, found at KYOKradio.org. I'm speaking with Danielle Lerner of the Houston Chronicle. I just got the email, Danielle. I assume you saw it too, about the Rockets announcing or promoting Gretchen Shear to the president of business operations. So officially, I guess she's replacing Tad Brown. So I wonder if the Rockets will have a media session with her to talk with us by the end of the week. We shall see. What are your thoughts on? Let's get to the Rockets, because I want to get back to Penny Hardaway in Memphis, but that'll be toward the end of our conversation. What are your thoughts? You started covering the Rockets in April. What are your thoughts on what you saw from the time you began covering them to the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Rockets, their fate was pretty much sealed in April already, right? But I think it's a fascinating franchise to be covering right now heading into this draft, because there are so many possibilities for them. Having 3 first-round picks, the lottery will determine a lot about what they can get. But I don't think anyone expected at the beginning of the season for this to be a rebuild year for the Rockets. That's what it's turned out to be. And I think that what happens in this draft will go a long way to determining how the Rockets can kind of build up onto the foundation of that young core that they already have with, Kevin Porter Jr., Jayshawn Tate, Christian Wood, and et cetera. So I think we saw that, the replacement Rockets, as people were calling them through this last month of the season, there are some talented pieces there, but there's not enough right now. Even when some of the guys like John Wall and Eric Gordon presumably come back healthy, there's not necessarily enough there to really bring this franchise back to what it once was, which is a playoff contender. So I think these next few weeks will be very pivotal, and I look forward to seeing what happens.
And what is I think this is more of a fan perspective, but do you believe Stephen Silas should be fired?
Not right now. I think you wait and you see how they do. This doesn't excuse some of the poor play, or all of the poor play, I should say. But I mean, this year, look at not just the COVID issues, which every team, of course, had to deal with, but the Rockets' injury list was just insane. And it's difficult to really parse out how good of a coach he can be when he's dealing with a situation like that. So I think you see how it goes this season. I also, even if that were the case right now, I've been covering this team for a month, wouldn't be on me to call for someone to get fired at this point in time. But I think, there's nothing that he's done so far to me that says, oh, he's not capable of leading this team.
Agreed. I've been asked that a few times, and I'm not Tillman Fertitta. I don't own the team, but I don't believe Steven should be fired because of everything you just said. But I don't write the checks. So, Tillman, if he decides to do that, that's Tillman's decision. I don't believe he will after this season. I think Steven, give the team a chance to be healthy and then see what Steven can do. My biggest concern so far with the team is the defense has just been really, really bad. But that, I think, maybe because of the injuries and not having time to work together. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that the other thing that Silas has going for him is his ability to connect with these players that are going to end up being the future of the organization. He really has good relationships with all of the rookies and the second-year players that they really had to thrust into these big-time roles this season. So he's already built that, and his staff has already built that. So I think that can only be advantageous going forward. And of course, good relationships aren't going to save a bad coach from being fired in the long run. But at this point in time, I think that is a really big deal for these Rockets. And the other thing is the defense is awful. That definitely needs to be fixed. But they also really couldn't have full practices together for much of the season because of the injury situation and COVID protocols. It's really difficult to get, even 10 guys out on the floor and do a 5-on-5 scrimmage and put on your defensive coverages when you don't have 10 healthy guys. And when you have guys in health and safety protocols who can't be around each other, and you need to be careful about distancing and contact tracing and all of that. So, like I said before, I think this next season is going to be very, very important for the ownership to pay attention to and for people league-wide to pay attention to and say, okay, what are the Rockets really about? Because we don't really have an identity for this team yet.
Let's talk about your career trajectory. Because prior to Memphis, at the Memphian, you worked other places. So just what did you work beforehand?
Yeah, so my work history is not that long right now, but I was at the Louisville Courier-Journal for my first job out of college, and I was there for 3.5 years in a variety of roles, but finished up there as the University of Louisville basketball beat writer, covering both their men's and women's programs, which obviously both were very good, and there's plenty of scandal to go around there always at U of L. And then my last year in Louisville, I was covering still U of L basketball for The Athletic. So that's what I was doing in Louisville before I moved to Memphis last August and was still covering college basketball, covering Penny Hardaway's program.
And I think you won an award at the Memphian. I think I saw that on Twitter. What about that? I mean, I know you do great work, but what acknowledgement did you receive while you were there?
Yeah, I mean, I get very uncomfortable talking about these types of things, but I was very honored to receive APSE recognition for a story that I wrote about the Human Performance Center at the University of Memphis, which is kind of a sports science lab that helps some of their athletic teams there, but also really was created just to thrive in the overall scientific community, and they do lots of cool stuff with injury prevention and stuff that's helping the Tigers. So, I went in there and kind of did some of their tests myself to see what it was like and see exactly how they're applying the science.
How would you describe this past season for Penny and the Tigers basketball team?
I think it was salvaged by them winning the NIT championship, but it certainly was a disappointment overall. This is still, this is going on. They haven't made an NCAA tournament since 2014. They have yet to make one since Penny Hardaway took over the program. And I think that any people in Memphis would tell you that's falling way short of expectations from where the program used to be and the level of success that fans are used to achieving there. So I think this upcoming season, the expectation is really going to be NCAA tournament or bust for them, especially because they've been able to grab a handful of talented transfers from the portal. They've got a good core coming back, including, I believe, 3 or 4 starters. I haven't really kept up since moving off the beat too much with exactly what's going on. But, I think that the games against Houston this year were great examples of kind of when Memphis was playing at their peak, what they could be. They took Houston down to the wire in both games. Tremont Mark, to his credit, made an incredible shot for that game here. And Houston was clearly the best team in the American, but I think Memphis should have the ability to be right up there with them this upcoming season.
Is Houston and Memphis' rival in the conference?
I think so at this point, just because of the last 2 years and how those games have gone down. I don't know if there's anyone else that would really come to mind as the main. I mean, Tulsa and Frank Haith have given Memphis a lot of problems over the last few years and as Houston.
Well. And Houston as well.
Yeah, exactly. The Frank Haith just seems to have everyone's number, I guess. But he was coaching at Missouri when I was in school there. But yeah, I think Houston would probably be, if you had to pick an in-conference rival for Memphis, that would probably be it. I don't know if Houston fans feel the same looking back, but I think that's how Memphis fans probably feel.
What is your overall impression of the conference for men's basketball?
This year, I think that you could make the argument that Memphis maybe should have also been a tournament team instead of Wichita State, but it's definitely, it's not up there at its strongest as it has been in previous years. I think that really Houston is probably the only name that most other people who don't live in the region would know out of that conference alongside Memphis, but they need to get to a point where they're for sure at least a 2-bid team every year. And right now they're not.
Yeah. And let me ask you this, because you touched on Louisville. They're back in the news with another scandal, I guess, with Dino Gaudio. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I covered Dino for his 2 years there under Chris Mack, and it's just a wild story. He's such an even-tempered guy usually, and he's he's been in the industry and in coaching for a long time, and then also his 7 or 8 years at ESPN in between his coaching stints. He and Chris Mack have a 30-year relationship going all the way back to being in North Carolina at Wake Forest, and then at Xavier, and it's a wild story because the allegations that he was bringing about the NCAA violations that Louisville allegedly committed were not, at the end of the day, they're not huge things. Right. So to me, that wasn't something that you could extort someone over necessarily. Obviously, Louisville had no problem saying, yeah, okay, we don't care if anyone knows about this. We'll go to the FBI and report you for what you're trying to do. But also in the grand scheme of things, when you look back at the past scandals that Louisville has been through, which includes the escort scandal, the Karen Cipher affair scandal for Rick Pitino, and then most recently the FBI pay-for-play scandal, this is the smallest of the scandals, which is kind of wild.
I think I haven't read the article yet. Pat Forty wrote something about the scandals, all of them that you mentioned. Do you think Louisville the hammer should fall on the program?
No, not for this. I think the hammer is going to keep coming down in relation to the FBI scandal. Louisville is currently kind of going back and forth and in that stage of appealing. Well, they can't really appeal this decision the way that the process has gone, but they're kind of fighting back still against the NCAA notice of allegations for that. But this, wasn't Louisville's fault. It was a former assistant coach trying to make the university and the program a victim of extortion. So, yeah, even if the NCAA looks at those violations that Dino was trying to bring up, which were, I think, impermissible recruiting videos and using graduate assistants in practices, okay, like that's they can get punished for that. That's fine. But that, in the grand scheme of things, from what they've done cumulatively, I don't think this is the university's fault.
And ask you about Memphis and what's it called? The NCAA's new enforcement arm that some teams involved in the pay for play. What is it? I can't think of the acronym.
It's the IARP. It's like an independent, I don't remember what the whole acronym stands for either, but it's a new independent process. And Memphis, they're the first one to have their case go through this. So they really are the guinea pig. And, I think Kansas is going to go through this process eventually, NC State as well, I believe. So there are other schools who are going this route. And the big difference here is that whatever final decision comes down, that's final. You can't appeal it if it goes through this process. So that's the big thing is that, sometimes in the past when you were going to the Committee on Infractions, you would have a hearing and then you wait 90 days and someone writes a response and then you have another hearing and then a judgment comes down, but then you can appeal that and then it goes through that entire process again. So it could drag out over years and years and years. Now, all the waiting really is on the front end where, Memphis's case, it's been over a year since that case got shifted to the IARP, and we still really have heard nothing. There's been silence. So the waiting comes now, but once we actually hear from them, then that's it. There's nothing Memphis can do.
And I'm speaking with Danielle Lerner. I'm Chris Gardner of Houston Roundball Review. Had this quick break from Sybil Wilkes, and we'll be back in about 60 seconds.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Almost 50 years following the groundbreaking issue of abortion, the Supreme Court announced it will hear a challenge to the state of Mississippi's ban on most abortions. In 1973, the court ruling in the case of Roe v. Wade found that women have a constitutional right to abortion. With the hold the conservatives now have over the Supreme Court, 6-3, there is a real ground-shaking possibility of changing laws regarding a woman's right to choose. All eyes will be on the decisions handed down by the 3 justices appointed by Donald Trump. The B.1.617 coronavirus variant that is currently devastating India has arrived in the United States. The variant made up 3% of all COVID-19 cases in the United States. Despite its deadly effects over the past few weeks in India, health experts say the variant is unlikely to cause much harm here. This is due to high vaccination rates and a more prepared healthcare system. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.
And we're back. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. You're listening to The Lunch Break on KYOK, KYOKradio.org. I'm speaking with Danielle Lerner from the Houston Chronicle, who covers Rockets and Astros. So let's talk some Astros. And I may give you these next few minutes because baseball is not my thing. But what are your impressions of the Astros?
It's still early in the season, right? So you don't want to draw too many conclusions, but right now, I think the main concern coming into the season was obviously the pitching. And I think in these last few games, we've seen the bullpen kind of implode. They really don't have many options there. They thought that, Stanek was carving himself out as the 8th inning guy, the most reliable of the relievers. And he didn't do so hot last night against the A's. So I think how Dusty Baker chooses to manage the bullpen going forward, especially as they have a lot of guys, coming back from rehabbing, and they have more options available, I think that will be really, really interesting. I think my colleague Chandler Rome, who's the Astros beat writer for the Chronicle, compared it to kind of a jigsaw puzzle, and I think that's a very apt description. You have Framber Valdez and Jake Odorizzi, who are right now with the AAA squad down in Sugar Land, and they're rehabbing. They're both on their way back. Pedro Baez is now throwing 90 feet in their facility in West Palm Beach. So there's going to be a lot more names coming into the fold, and hopefully some of those guys, both in the starting rotation and in the bullpen, can prove a more reliable solution for the Astros.
Danielle, did you play sports growing up?
I played tennis and soccer primarily growing up. Those were my thing. But, I grew up in the San Jose Bay Area, watched everything, kind of dabbled in everything, if you will.
And where did your writing love of sports come from?
I don't know. It was something I figured out very early on. I knew I loved sports and I loved writing. I was always that kid in school who wasn't paying attention. I was jotting short stories down in my notebook under my desk or reading, chapter books inside my textbooks. And you grew up reading the San Jose Mercury News sports section every day with my dad, and a light bulb came on at some point. I was probably, I don't even think I was in middle school yet, 10 or 11, where I was like, oh, I could just do this. And I latched onto it and really haven't let go ever since.
How much has the coverage, newspaper subscriptions changed in your time in your career?
Well, it's been interesting because I've been fortunate enough to work for a variety of different organizations that all have different approaches. So the Louisville Courier-Journal, where I started out, is a paper that's owned by Gannett, but it's a large legacy newspaper that's been around for 150 plus years and is still very traditional in some ways. As is the Chronicle, owned by Hearst, has been around forever. Both Pulitzer Prize winning papers, who now have figured out the web presence, but the ideology has really shifted from what it was being print products. And then when I worked for The Athletic, that obviously is a very new startup. It's online only. It is a subscription model. You have to subscribe in order to read everything. And the Daily Memphian, which was my last stop before the Chronicle, is also a recent startup, about 2 years old. It's not for profit. It's online only, but it still functions very much like a newspaper in a lot of ways. There's a little bit of a more relaxed paywall. It's not everything behind a paywall, but a lot of it is. So I've kind of, I guess, spanned the gauntlet of how papers and journalism organizations can function. And I don't know that there's a way that I think is necessarily the right way or the best way, but I think that newspapers like the Chronicle are starting to figure out that our content and the work that we do is worth charging people. We should have been charging people a long time ago. And, in order to produce quality journalism, we need money. That's the bottom line. So I'm not making this into a pitch for anyone. If you can afford a newspaper subscription, that's great. If you can't, that's totally understandable. But I think that, journalism is not a dying art form. Physical newspapers, yes, they may die out. Journalism, alive and well.
Well put, Danielle. Thank you very much. At top of the hour, it's my duty to say this. It's the top of the hour, and this is KYOK Conroe, Houston on AM 1140, 92.3 FM, and streaming live on KYOKradio.org. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. You're tuned in to the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. I'm guest hosting for AJ Jones, speaking with Danielle Lerner of the Houston Chronicle. And that point was just right on. As a journalist, you want to pay for folk got to pay bills too. That's just real. It's not necessarily a spiel or anything like that. You want quality work. You have to pay for it. That's my take on that. That's my opinion on that. Danielle, is there anything you want to mention before I let you go?
No, just always open to story ideas and feedback from readers. You can find me on Twitter at Danielle_Lerner. My email's on there as well. And I look forward to getting to know more people in Houston.
And hopefully at some point, you and I will meet at an event face to face, because I think COVID stopped us this year for the Memphis U of H game, and then the weather or whatever kind of thing, who knows. But at some point, we'll get together at an actual basketball event. Danielle Lerner, thank you for your time. You take care. Next up, she's in waiting here patiently. A superstar. Yeah, I'm calling her a superstar because now she is a sports agent. Dorian Branch. What's up, special agent? How are you?
What's up, everybody? How you doing today?
Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Dorian Branch. And my other mentee finally tuned in. She's a little late, but that's okay. So I'm not sure if I want to bring out both of y'all on at the same time, because I'd rather talk. I want to get some words in before y'all take over the whole conversation. Dorian, you are a U of H alum. Mm-hmm. You played ball at U of H, basketball. You're now a sports agent. Mm-hmm. I can say that now officially. Mm-hmm. Just describe your path to get to that point.
The path was I got out of college and I initially thought I wanted to get into coaching. But then I realized, how can I help people in a closer way? in a different way than coaching. And it just kind of dawned on me, like I felt like with everything that I learned in college with getting a broadcast journalism degree, how could I utilize all those things as far as like marketing stuff, learning how to edit videos, be able to break down film, all of that kind of stuff, but not have to get into coaching. And so sports agent idea just kind of dawned on me. And then once I had the idea and I set my mind to it, then I just got going with it, honestly. I just had to believe it myself. I had great people around me that believed in it as well, and I just had to capitalize.
What was the process to become a sports agent? What is the process?
The process is, I mean, you have to, do an application to the Wnba, which is the Players Association for the WNBA. And then they have to decide if they feel like you're qualified. You have to give, obviously, some people that'll give good reviews on you. And then they have to do a background check. So everything has to check out, look pretty clean. And then, just a waiting game after that. And I was blessed enough to pass the test.
And how long have you been an official sports agent?
Officially since November, I believe, of 2020.
And you broke the news. Well, no, I can't say that. You let me know, and I had to keep it a secret for quite a while. But who is she your first client?
Yeah, my first and only.
Okay, and who is that one and only client right now?
Yeah, that's Kennedy Carter. So starting point guard of the Atlanta Dream. Went to Texas A&M, played 3 years there. So she's a special player because she only played in college 3 years, left early to be able to go to the WNBA, was the 4th overall draft pick to the Atlanta Dream in 2020. And that's my first client. That's my only client. Actually, tonight going to the game at 7. So because they play at home here in Atlanta.
Okay, so that's why you were trying to check with me what time stuff about coming on. Because you're in the ATL. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So how did that come about? I mean, your first and only client, you're a brand new agent.
Mm-hmm.
Did you and Kendi know each other on the AAU circuit, or how did that work?
Yeah, we actually played together in AAU. My last, I believe, 2 years of high school. So we knew each other. And then prior to us actually playing together, we had played against each other for quite a while. So just having that kind of connection with her in the past, that's why I always say it's so important to not ever burn bridges, to just keep good relationships with people. Don't be talking about people and all that stuff, because whenever I reached out to her, knowing that she was looking for an agent again after her season last year, then we kind of were able to just catch up. She was able to see how I was going to be running things for myself from over here, and how much I really wanted to help her, what kind of plans like I thought would work out for her in the future, as well as some goals that she has. And as we just talked about it, like it was only right that we worked together, both being young, actually knowing each other prior to this deal together, and so that's kind of how it happened.
What's the name of your agency?
My agency is Launch Sports Group. So to look it up is www.launchsportsgroup.com. It's just me. I got another guy that's about to come on with me as well. He has some background in marketing and football, but he's a certified WNBA agent as well. And then obviously my brother, who's a accountant, he's over all the financials that go on for the business. So that's my team as of right now.
I'm proud of you. I am. So
yeah,
I think we've known each other since your freshman year at U of H hooping.
Yeah.
So kudos to you. And the Dream are playing the Chicago Sky tonight. That game's going to be on streaming on Facebook.
Facebook Live, yeah. So that's the crazy thing about that is I'm actually like, although I'm a sports agent, like tonight they play the Sky. Candace Parker is like my favorite player ever. So I'm kind of like nervous about that in a way, just because, I'm still fangirling over Candace Parker. I always will.
Have you received what has been the feedback that have you received any negativity about being so young and having a client like Kennedy Carter?
I mean, well, it's always going to be feedback. And I've been questioned a lot as far as, oh, she's young, you sure that's the person that you want to go with because of my age and all of that stuff. But obviously I also knew that coming into it. So that was like kind of something like, what's so bad about that? Because in order for any agent to start having more clients, they had to start off with one client. So my path just being different, or my path starting earlier than the next person, shouldn't make a difference on why, somebody should sign with me or not. But I do have mentors that are already in the game, who've been here and done that. So that helps me out a lot as well. Just as far as, staying grounded, not letting that kind of stuff get to me. But then also, if I do have a question, because this is my first go around, they're able to help me and they're not trying to like steal my player from me, if you understand what I'm saying.
Of course.
Yep.
I'm speaking with Dorian Branch, sports agent Dorian Branch. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. I'm going to take this quick break and be back in 90 seconds.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama, and I wanted to let you know that Barack and I couldn't be more thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine. This is a deadly disease, and we know the vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. It's how we'll start getting back to seeing friends and family and doing all those things we love again. So I hope you'll join me, Barack, and millions of others around the country and get your vaccine as soon as it's available to you. It's safe, it's free, and it could save your life or the life of someone you love. To learn more, just go to cdc.gov/coronavirus. I know it's been a long, hard year, but we can beat back this pandemic. With your help, we can do this.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
In Jesus Christ, we are victors and not victims. We are the head and not the tail. We are above and not beneath. We depend on God alone and not the world systems. UCA is a nonprofit faith-based organization that is committed to restoring, promoting, and protecting America's traditional values of God, family, and country in urban areas. We desire to empower, educate, shape, and mold the minds of future generations. Join our mission at www.urbconusa.org. All donations are tax deductible. This is Sean Scott, co-founder of Urban Conservatives of America. God bless.
We're back. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. You're tuning in to The Lunch Break on the legendary KYOK. I'm speaking with sports agent Dorian Branch. I'm going to bring in somebody that Dorian and I know. Mm-hmm. She looks like she's busy on her phone or something like that, so I hope she's paying attention. So going to bring her in because I don't know if I told either about the other being on, but here we go. Tamera Knight, another mentee of mine coming on. Hello, Ms. Knight. How are you? Look at her.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Dorian. Hi, Chris. Sorry, I have my mic muted because I didn't want to make too much noise during y'all's session.
That's all right. How are you doing?
Good. How about y'all?
Good.
Okay, Miss Agent.
So, surprise. So, yeah, I'm just I had to get both of y'all on. And Tamer, what are you doing now, Tamer? I know what your goal is. What are you doing right now?
So right now I'm actually preparing to go to Connecticut. Shout out to Dorian Branch. She sent me this opportunity and it just so happened to work out. It's been the first yes post-grad. So I'm super excited about that. I actually was just looking at some stuff that they sent me to kind of fill out and register for. So that's currently what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be... Hold
on, Tamer. Hold on. You said you're going to Connecticut, but you didn't say why.
I was about to say I'm going to be a production assistant working at NBC with the Olympics for 3 weeks. And I will be helping, create stories for all of the athletes that are going to be participating in the Olympics. And so it's only 3 weeks temporary, but let's just pray it turns into something bigger. And so, again, that's for 3 weeks in July to August. And again, shout out to you, Dorian.
And it's amazing how it's a small world because
right, everything together, like comes full circle.
Exactly. So I was glad because me and Dorian talked about trying to help Tamer get to where she wants to go. And then Dorian got connections, because now I can talk to you, Dorian, about your connections as the working for the American on the Student Advisory Council, something like that. Tell everyone about those experiences you had.
Well, actually, shout out to Angela, because she's the one that told me about this opportunity. So she has to get the love there. But then for the American Conference, so what I did was I was on SAC the whole time I was at the University of Houston, which is the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. And so with that, we kind of just try and make decisions for student athletes on campus, as just listening to what people have to say, how to make their experience at the University of Houston better. Just trying to do some fun things, trying to give back to the community, all of that kind of stuff. So that's what SAC does. I was able to get on the American SAC board. So with that, I was able to go to a conference. I was able to go to a separate conference with the SWAs. And that's really where I learned a ton of things. And just being in that position, you just kind of see all of the work that goes into the conference for each individual sport, how much time in advance they prepare for things. So then when stuff happens, such as like COVID, that kind of shakes up everything, just because they had everything planned out and then it had to go a completely different way, with something like this pandemic happening. So they put in a lot of work all the time. SAC puts in a ton of work just trying to help out student athletes on the individual campuses, trying to help out with mental health awareness with the Powerful Minds initiative that the American Conference does. So SAC is doing a great job. I'm not sure if every school has it, but if your school has it, please learn about it, try to be invested in it, just to see, kind of the things that they're trying to cover, because it honestly got me some really good relationships. It got me into some internships, just got me knowing some people that I know will mean something down the line for sure.
Tamer, I'm coming back to you. So because, you mentioned this is a temporary 3-week assignment. What is your ultimate goal for your profession?
Well, I would like to be a sideline reporter or sports analysis or some type of reporter in the sporting industry. I see a lot of job offers, and they're like multi-journalism, breaking news reporters. And while I may be qualified to do those types of things, I solely just want to stick to sports. That's just me. Preferably, I will do sports. And so for me, I'm just, again, it's been really hard trying to find opportunities, but I'm not going to compromise or shrink my goals just so I can say I'm employed. So I'm just, it's 3 weeks, but I tell you, I'm super excited as if it's a long-term position, because in my mind, I truly believe, everything is achievable and it's doable. And while it's hard, nothing worth having comes easy. So sideline reporting, sports analysis. I mean, if I could have my own show on somebody's TV, that's I got a lot to say, and so.
Oh yeah, this is true.
My dream.
But Tamer, and I think Dorian would say this too, start your own show.
Yeah, I know, and I was gonna say, I was gonna try to plug my YouTube here while I was here, but I'm trying to start a YouTube, and I'm gonna be, I'm going to start my own show. I should have my first video. I do have videos already on YouTube, but I'm just gonna kind of just try to start my own little series, and I do plan to kind of document when I'm over in Connecticut and just kind of give insight of what it is that I'm doing over there, and just other things that I do. Because I'm not really a social media person. So I'm just trying to get out of my shell. And so it's me starting the YouTube in the comfort of my own home. I mean, what better time than now, since, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. I know they think it's over with, but it's not over. So stay inside. So I can just be comfortable in my own home, doing it by myself, and, just getting on YouTube. And again, I said I have a lot to say, so I could just say it on YouTube. It costs nothing.
Yeah. What is some of your work experience, Tamer? For folks who don't know.
Let's see. I've worked in UH athletics alongside Dorian. I was actually the arena in-game host for women's basketball. Huge advocate for women in sports. So when they offered me the opportunity for women's basketball, I thought, what other better opportunity? I've done a lot of internships, play-by-play. ESPN 97.5 here in Houston, the radio station. I've had the chance to work over there with them. New Balance Baseball Association. I've had a chance to work with them doing some play-by-play. Very, very hot summer job, but well worth it because it looks good on my resume. And I mean, I was a teaching assistant, and I do look forward to maybe in the future continuing to stay in the classroom setting. So yeah, I want to teach other students some of the things that I wish I learned after I graduated. I wish I would have knew sooner, and I feel like my life would have been a little bit different, but God makes no mistakes.
Well put. And we're going to come back after this quick break. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. You're tuned in to the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. Be right back.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama, and I wanted to let you know that Barack and I couldn't be more thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine. This is a deadly disease, and we know the vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. It's how we'll start getting back to seeing friends and family and doing all those things we love again. So I hope you'll join me, Barack, and millions of others around the country and get your vaccine as soon as it's available to you. It's safe, it's free, and it could save your life or the life of someone you love. To learn more, just go to cdc.gov/coronavirus. I know it's been a long, hard year, but we can beat back this pandemic. With your help, we can do this.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
In Jesus Christ, we are victors and not victims. We are the head and not the tail. We are above and not beneath. We depend on God alone and not the world systems. UCA is a nonprofit faith-based organization that is committed to restoring, promoting, and protecting America's traditional values of God, family, and country in urban areas. We desire to empower, educate, shape, and mold the minds of future generations. Join our mission at www.urbconusa.org. All donations are tax deductible. This is Sean Scott, co-founder of Urban Conservatives of America. God bless.
We're back on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, filling in for AJ Andre Jones. I got one more day to go as guest host. Tune in tomorrow. I got Coach Ronald Huey from Wnba Twins basketball and Willie Gibson, who the lunch break listeners know very well from previous shows. We're going to talk about a lot of things. So tune in tomorrow from 12 to 2 as I close out my guest hosting gig. But right now I'm with Dorian Branch, sports agent Dorian Branch, U of H alum Dorian Branch, and Tamera Knight. You're U of H alum now too, right? Right. You claim that.
Of course, go Cougs.
Okay, yeah. So if folks are wondering, if anybody out there is wondering, why does Chris have on all these U of H alums? Because I can. So that's why I can. But I don't hate anybody else in town. I love TSU and HBU and PV and St. Thomas and all that. But AJ said, Chris, man, this is your show. You can do what you want to do. So I got on 2 more U of H alums on the show. And hey, like I said, because I can. But get back to it. Dorian.
Yeah.
As a sports agent, I don't want to get you in trouble with this. Can you talk about WNBA games? Like players, like winning, like making predictions?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Tamer, are you ready to share some thoughts on the WNBA?
They need more coverage. They need more support. They need more fan engagements. I could go on and on and on.
Fan engagement like what? Elaborate on that.
So as the host for women's basketball at the University of Houston, although it's not the WNBA, I was able to basically compare, the fan engagement to the men's games versus the women's games. And if you've never been to a women's game, then it's very much different than going to a men's games because there's less fans. They still engage with the little bit of fans that do participate and show up, but it's very different versus a men's game where the arena is usually packed out, and there's 100 people on the floor because they got season tickets and just all of these things. And I just feel like for women, it's not the same. Well, I know it's not the same. However, I can say that the WNBA clearly hears the women all over the world, not just in the WNBA, and they are trying to do things to better the arena and, you know, just giving women the same opportunity that men have. I did volunteer in San Antonio at the Final Four, women's Final Four. And as we all know, that was a huge deal on social media because of the weight room and just the type of food that the women received. So the NCAA did turn around and turn the gym and the weight room into something more fit for the women. But I mean, come on, let's just be realistic. They couldn't expect these teams to make it this far with the little bit of weights and things that they did offer to women. So, I mean, it's just not just in the WNBA, it's just the lack of representation in all female sports. And that's one thing that, you know, I would really like to see change over the next few months or maybe years.
I have this question for both of you, and Dorian, you go first on it. How many sports agents are there that look like you?
I mean, straight off the top is obviously Nicole Lynn, who started off with Young Money and now she's with Clutch, which is amazing. That's somebody that I know I follow very closely, just because, like you said, she looks like me, and what she's doing is amazing. So why not have her to be somebody that I look at, you know, on social media? And then as far as being Black, I know obviously the biggest one is Rich Paul. Like, that's somebody that I really look at. And then, but all of my mentors who they aren't at a Clutch, you know, they're not with Clutch Sports or they're not a Clutch Sports group, but they're very successful and they're also Black, you know, 2 Black men. So that's kind of the people that that's always going to be my reach first, and then maybe to somewhere else. But, you know, we understand each other a little bit more, understand how things are different from us versus, you know, the next person. So that's why I always look to have, you know, Black mentors, women, you know, hopefully in the future, but not yet. But that is definitely people that I look up to in the business.
And Tamer, how many women look like you and have you come across in your coverage and in all your work?
I feel like I'm an outsider. I don't look like anyone, you know? I mean, we all may look alike and versus as far as skin color. I mean, I can just name a few. Maria Taylor, Josina Anderson. Those are just 2 that I can mention right now. But, you know, they look like me, but they're different positions. And I mean, everybody's story isn't the same. So while they may look like me, getting access to those people are really hard. So like Dorian, I would love to have, you know, MJ Acosta as a mentor. But I did get a chance to talk to her. So they're also still regular people, but again, it's very hard to get access to them. As far as the number of women that look like me, there's starting to be more women in the profession that look like me. And so that's why another reason why I feel like what I'm doing is very much achievable, because if we do the access question maybe 10 years ago, then I could probably say 1 or 2, maybe. And they probably have been at the same network for an extended period of time. And, you know, they're kind of locked into their position. But now society and, you know, these organizations are creating more opportunities for women in particular that do look like me to be, you know, in front of the camera or behind the camera, just in the television realm in general.
And my take on it as a Black man who spends time covering women's basketball, how's that? I don't know what happened. I haven't moved, but anyway, hey, tell me. Technology. Live, you just keep on going. But I'll get back to my point now that everybody can hear me again. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. I was going to say, as a Black man covering women's basketball, I'm not sure. I think I saw one other young man he covers LA Sparks. It looks like me. That's it. I don't know anybody else, a black man who covers WNBA, covers college basketball. I haven't met him yet. But on college basketball specifically, I got my mentor in the waiting room, Jerry Woodley. He and I are probably it. When we first started going to the Women's Final Four 20 years ago, it was 1, 2, 3, 5 or 6 of us. Now I think it's him and me.
Yeah. Well, I know this other guy, B. Terrell, who he's a black guy. He covers WNBA very closely. And then obviously some college basketball as well. He's a good guy to follow. Knows a lot of information, pretty connected. So he's another black guy that I follow. That's really in tune with the game. But outside of that, I really don't know a whole lot either. But yeah.
It's just one of those things, I know I get mocked. Man, why are you spending time on women's basketball? Why are you doing all this?
Yeah.
And my first answer is, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they deserve the coverage recognition too. So why not? But Tamer, your YouTube channel, when's that going to start?
It wouldn't be right if Mr. Gardner didn't put me on the spot every single time. You know what? I'm going to drop a new YouTube video. I'm going to try to drop it by next week. Next week, that's going to be my first video. And it's just going to be a Q&A because like I said earlier, I'm not really a social media person. So I feel like I need to let the world know more about me and myself and my aspirations and my goals. Instead of just sitting here and thinking people know, because apparently everyone don't know me and they don't know my goals or my aspirations. Although I feel I may be very vocal about them. There's some people who's watching or who sees me on social media and still has no clue what it is that I want to do. But I want to add something back to the women's basketball and coverage of women's sports. I also had the opportunity to work at HBU this season, thanks to Mr. Gardner. Like, these my folks right here, y'all. Okay, always looking out for me. I appreciate this so much. But I worked at HBU, and it was kind of funny to just kind of compare the fan interaction at U of H versus HBU. So then it just made me realize, like, okay, this isn't just an issue at the University of Houston. This is clearly an issue within all women's basketball, but then again, you could say even all female sports. So I wanted to just add that in there because it was very much low crowd rate compared to the men's teams when they would play at HBU. Same for U of H, even though there's a big difference in, school size and division wise, there's a big difference, but it was still the same kind of engagements compared to men and women.
What are your thoughts on women, not enough women, or do you think enough women support women's sports?
No, that's the thing that's so funny to me, because I was just about to say that. I was going to say, I feel like to get more women to support women's sports, we as women all need to come together and support women. And that's just the bottom line. I feel like, it's kind of like if you go to a party or if you're trying to appeal to an audience, most people are going to go wherever the women go. So I feel as if females and women start to go more to, more WNBA games, more softball games, more volleyball games, then it will just become one of those things like, oh, all of these women are flocking to, these female sports. Maybe we as men should flock to these sports as well.
What are your thoughts on that, Dorian?
I mean, yeah, I agree. We definitely have to support each other more. Just all the women's sports in general. But then just women as a whole too. Can't depend on the next person to come in and support if, we can't even do that for ourselves, honestly.
For ourselves. Amen.
Dorian, when you were growing up, who was your favorite basketball player?
Candace Parker.
Okay, no, I just want you to say it again because let's see. The generation probably before you, if I were to ask a female basketball player that, she was going to say Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Nah, for me, it's definitely Candace Parker. And And Chris Paul, to be completely honest, Candace Parker and Chris Paul, they both wore the jersey number 3, which is why I wore jersey number 3, because I was like, I'm DB3. I know both of them are CP3, but I was like, I'm DB3. And so Candace Parker, Pat Summitt was like legit who I wanted to be and who I wanted to play for whenever I was coming up playing basketball.
Tamer, growing up, who was your favorite athlete?
I mean, I'm from Florida, so the first thing that comes to my mind is just going to be Serena Williams, just because, you know, they were from Florida, and growing up, you know, they looked like me. And so, you know, my mom always would just, you know, speak so highly of them. So for me, it was always just, I love Serena and Venus, and, you know, they look like me and I could relate to them. So it's like, wow, if they're doing amazing things, like me as a little small girl, I can do amazing things in this world too.
Dorian, regarding your agency, how many clients would you like to get? Do you have a cap in mind? Like, you don't want to go beyond the certain number?
Like for myself personally, I probably would say like 7 or 8. Obviously that's why you start adding the team to go with you whenever you get past that number. But like, I'm not trying to be an agency that's like, oh, let me get as many clients as I possibly can because of that. No, I actually want good relationships with my clients and to be able to actually do something whenever they need it. So with that being said, definitely like that 7 or 8 number. And then obviously I would need like a whole team once I got past that.
And describe, you know, why should an athlete look at you? Why should they want you to represent them? What about you makes you different?
Cause she's DP3, duh.
No, I mean, honestly, because I'm young, so I literally understand the things that they're asking for. I can relate to the things that they want, the things that they are interested in now. And then, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm going to be there whenever they need something right now. Whenever you're comparing me to, say, you know, a larger agency or something like that, they have a lot of players. And they can say that they're catering to you, but are they really going to be able to do that with 10 other very good players like yourself? So with me having one client starting up, you know, obviously have a lot of fire up under me, but then I can actually be there for you whenever you need that.
Tamer, is anything?
I want to add, like, you're also a former athlete yourself. So I mean, like, what better connection than that?
Yeah. Yep.
Tamer, is there anything you want to ask Dorian?
Y'all hot? No, I'm just kidding.
Once again,
me and
Chris
Dorian
Gardner.
are good. Communication on point. Y'all are my folks. Everything that I have to ask, I don't need a radio or a platform. I'm gonna text y'all, FaceTime, call, email, whatever it is that I need to know. But hey, I just want to say I'm proud of you and always proud of you as well, Mr. Gardner. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for us.
Yeah.
Agreed. And you're welcome. Thank you. And the two of y'all, I appreciate the respect. Y'all make me feel old because I forgot the first time Dorian called me Mr. Gardner, and I was like, wow. I was like, I appreciated it, obviously, but I was like, am I that old? So, but anyway, so thank you very much. Dorian, is there anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, thank you for having me on here today. I really appreciate it. Y'all tune into some WNBA games. They're streaming on Twitter Live, Facebook Live, ESPN 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just tune into the games because they're putting a lot of games out there this season, you know, and so I think the more that they put it out there, the more people that will watch it. So be one of those people.
Who's your team to beat in the WNBA?
Right now, I don't know. Some people looking real good right now. Like
who?
Okay, I mean you have Connecticut with Wnba and Jonquel Jones. That's a pretty hard duo to beat. You have the defending champion Seattle Storm. I mean they're the defending champions for a reason. The Aces have all the pieces to be a championship team. Chicago Sky got the hometown hero coming back, so you know it's one of those things. It's only been 2. Some people only played 1 game. Some have played 3. So it's hard to say right now. So catch me back at the Olympic break halfway through the season. I have a better answer for you.
That'll work. We can do that. What about the Liberty from New York?
No,
what about?
I mean 3 games in though, so they look good right now. I gotta see more though, because they're young. They're young, so I gotta see more.
NBA, who you got?
Oh, you already know I'm wherever LeBron is.
Even if tonight.
Of course
all right.
you are.
Because I'm coming. I'm with
LeBron. I'm with LeBron.
Okay, Tamer, same thing. Who you got in the NBA?
I don't know. I'm so happy it ain't the Rockets because I was trying to root for them this season, but they just had to wrap it up. But I'm gonna go with Dorian. Everything LeBron. I want to see. I mean, if you're not going with LeBron, then I don't know. But Curry's been looking hot too this season. Now I can't lie, Curry been doing very well. So he just had to remind y'all he still got it, despite everything y'all was trying to say about him. He still got it. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lakers, the defending champs. Why not?
Okay, but if they lose tonight to the Warriors, and then they'll be the 8th seed if they beat the Grizzlies or the Spurs, which they probably would anyway. Would that bother you, Dorian, if the Lakers are the 8th seed, come out of the 8th spot to get to the finals? What about that?
In great position. We get the 8th seed, is an even better position. You got
they still in the finals.
You got the first round against Utah Jazz, and then after that you're going to be going between 4 and 5 seed versus the 2 and 3 seed. Great position, excellent position.
Okay, you heard it here.
What about you?
Dorian Branch,
Mr. Gardner? We can't forget you. Who you got?
Oh well, my answer just sounds like y'all's because I said it on the show last week, and I think I said it on Monday. If LeBron's healthy, I'm picking the Lakers. So
okay, cool.
That's not going to change. So
before we get off of here, shout out to Armani Brooks. Me and Armani went on
go Cougs. He putting on for Rockets.
Me and Armani went on our official visit together to UH. We committed on the same weekend to the University of Houston. Both wore number 3. He left me a year early, but it's all good because my boy was out there killing.
Thank you very much. I didn't know y'all had came on the visit at the same time. How about that? Cool. Yeah. Learn something new. See, I'm not dead yet. Okay, ladies, thank you very much for joining me. Y'all take care. This is Chris Gardner of Houston Roundball Review. Going to take a quick break and be right back.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama, and I wanted to let you know that Barack and I couldn't be more thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine. This is a deadly disease, and we know the vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. It's how we'll start getting back to seeing friends and family and doing all those things we love again. So I hope you'll join me, Barack, and millions of others around the country and get your vaccine as soon as it's available to you. It's safe, it's free, and it could save your life or the life of someone you love. To learn more, just go to cdc.gov/coronavirus. I know it's been a long, hard year, but we can beat back this pandemic. With your help, we can do this.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
In Jesus Christ, we are victors and not victims. We are the head and not the tail. We are above and not beneath. We depend on God alone and not the world systems. UCA is a nonprofit faith-based organization that is committed to restoring, promoting, and protecting America's traditional values of God, family, and country in urban areas. We desire to empower, educate, shape, and mold the minds of future generations. Join our mission at www.urbconusa.org. All donations are tax deductible. This is Sean Scott, co-founder of Urban Conservatives of America. God bless.
We're back. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. You're tuning in to the lunch break on the legendary KYOK, KYOKradio.org. I'm filling in for AJ Jones. We've got a few more minutes here before we close it out today. And then I have one more day hosting the lunch break tomorrow, May 20th. So tune in tomorrow. Tamer, you're still here. So you got something you want to say?
I was waiting. You said we'll be right back, so I thought the show wasn't over just yet. But I will say, you guys follow me on Twitter and Instagram at T-Night Sports. That's going to be TKNIGHT Sports. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel. My mentor put me on the spot and asked about my first YouTube video, so I'll drop that next week. And, you know, be on the lookout for the night agenda. I have a lot of good things in store, and thank you for having me, Chris.
See, you know I'm going to put you on the spot because that's what I do, and that's what was done to me. So I'm just passing it forward. And I think I have said this to you before, and I say it to all the the folks I try to help is all I encourage you to do is just pass it forward. So you just continue doing, you help out others who are coming behind you, just pass it forward and we'll be fine.
Right on.
You take care, Tamer, and I will talk to you after this because I want some more info about you going to Connecticut.
All right, call me. I'll be waiting. Bye,
Okay.
everyone. Thank y'all for having me.
Take care. And now I'm going to bring in the Fifth Ward Wildcat. My Jerry Lee Woodley is joining me to close it out here on this Wednesday edition of The Lunch Break on the legendary KYOK. Mr. Woodley, what are your thoughts on my mentees shining bright?
I'm just happy that Tamer spoke up well today. Normally she's like, y'all always just ask to put me on the spot. Hey, you got to learn somewhere, and criticism is a part of the business. You got to be ready. And
That's
I'm happy
correct.
for you, for your other mentee. You know, she's jumping out into the ocean. And she's not going to be a shark. She's not going to be a barracuda. She's set her goals and all for where she wants to go and how to get there. And she's going to reach that. I'm happy for both of them.
And speaking about putting folks on the spot, you know, I'll put Tamer on the spot. You and I worked with Mr. Ralph Cooper, the Hall of Famer. Ralph had no problem.
Oh,
no problem putting anybody on the spot. If you were in that studio at KCOH, he made sure you were prepared. Because if you weren't prepared, that was your fault. And he would tell you to go get prepared and come back when you're ready.
He would actually wait until you and I would show up and then said, okay, y'all got the board today. I would sit back and watch. And mentally you would be prepared for that. But at when that light would go on, the phone would ring, there we were. That's how we got to where we are now.
Jerry, the NBA had announced gave their weekly update of the COVID-19 test results a few minutes ago. And out of the 496 players tested for COVID since May 12th, one new player has returned a confirmed positive test. I think, and I'm saying this because the NBA, because of HIPAA and all those things,
right?
I think that one player is Indiana Pacers guard forward Karis LeVert, because he missed last night's game because of health and safety protocols, and he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. So I think we could put 1 and 1 together and get 2. So speedy recovery not speedy, healthy recovery to Karis LeVert if he does indeed have COVID. What are your thoughts on? We haven't talked about this. I haven't asked you about this. Rice Owls baseball. What has happened since Coach Wayne Graham has what was it? He was booted out, stepped down on his own, or how would you describe it?
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's hard to describe. Don't know exactly what happened and how it was done. A lot of innuendos, a lot of stories, but nothing that I know of has been told to me or that has been talked about in a conversation of why it happened and what transpired now for it to all end like it did. But they're struggling right now. They're struggling to try and get enough pitcher-only players and enough pitcher position players that are guys that can pitch, that can be used in the bullpen and have multiple positions. They also playing, starters are on the bench as either a second baseman or an infielder or an outfielder. They don't have enough, but their main issue right now is pitcher-only positions. They don't have enough guys that can start on a regular basis, have a regular 2-man starter on the weekend, Friday and Saturday. And the one thing that I learned and was told to me, and it's proven fact, you got to, if you want to get to Omaha on a regular basis or even into the top 16, you have to have at least 2 players that you can put up on the weekend, Friday and Saturday. And right now, Rice doesn't have enough of those.
And I don't know what the problem is with U of H baseball. I think it's similar. I think their pitching is not good. I haven't checked. The last time I looked at the conference standings in the American, U of H was at the bottom. They were holding up everybody. They were the foundation of the conference. And
wow,
I'd have to ask other alums what has happened to the baseball program at U of H, because that's not good. That is, being last in the American, being last in any conference for U of H athletics is not good. It's not acceptable to me. I'm not sure if Coach Whitting is in trouble and will be let go after this season, if they need to make changes to the coaching staff. I just know seeing U of H at the bottom in athletics bothers me as an alum, and that needs to be corrected, especially when you're looking at, and I'm going to toss it out there. Now we can get into your area a little bit more, sir. I'm going to toss it out there for football. That goes for Coach Holgerson as well. U of H football has to do better, needs to do better, start with it this coming season, because football makes the world go round. Football pays the bills. So what are your thoughts? What do you know about Coach Holgerson? And because I think you were there when he first took over, and he mentioned to you and the media about redshirting a lot of players.
Right.
What was that conversation like?
Well, let me just start with this. He hadn't been able to find a replacement at the quarterback position for Derek King. He needs to find that. He needs to find that guy that wants to come in to the program and lead and just get done. They've gotten somewhat bigger and stronger up front as far as protection, but he's shifting a lot of QBs back and forth in the middle of the game, to get things rolling. He's got to find that guy. I don't know where that guy is. I don't know how you find him. The staff is always looking, but that's where it starts. That you got to have that guy that's wearing the pistol that can get it done, fire it off, and make things happen. And he hadn't found a replacement for Derek King, and he needs to find one ASAP. I would just in talking to some folks. This is going to be a do or die season coming up.
And I'm okay with that, because President Rena Couture, she has said numerous times that she expects to win at U of H. She expects, winning championships. And Coach Holgerson has not done that yet. And last year they had a lot of games postponed, pushed back, canceled because of COVID. But he's got to win, because the light is shining bright on the men's basketball program.
Push pressure.
But the thing is, football is the cash cow. And football at U of H needs to hold it up its weight and carry the load, because the difference between U of H football and Cincinnati football right now, Cincinnati under coach Luke Fickell, is like night and day. I mean, the gap is huge.
Cincinnati, I would have to say myself that it's like FBS and FCS is where it is right now. Cincinnati, they are the pick of the litter, and there's always somebody poking.
Wow, I wasn't gonna go FBS, FCS gap huge, but hey, if you're not
Houston is for a championship right now because of they hired a guy, gave him enough time, he told him what he needed to do. They got it done as far as the university, and here they are, hit it off. They won a championship. They hit it off to another conference, the WAC, even though they're still being FCS football, but they're headed off to another conference just because of the fact that they want to get to a situation, and they've gotten that.
Because U of H, and I said this on previous podcasts years ago, that we're going to resume soon
Yes.
the KG Fifth of Wildcat podcast, that U of H football is not even dominating its conference. So if
that's not a
first
good look.
things first,
That's not a good look.
yeah. And because as an alum, and I'm putting on my U of H alum hat, I want U of H athletics to excel in everything, in every sport. My expectations are that high for every sport. And if you're falling short in that, then there's a problem, and that needs to be corrected. You got a certain window amount of time to get that done, and if you don't get it done in that time, then you need to be replaced.
Yep. Recruiting class the year that you come in, get that class through, graduate them, and then you're on the clock. Period. Should be.
We're in the closing minutes here. It's beginning to rain over here in my hood.
Don't mention that.
I'm not sure if that's a sign.
I'm looking out the window now on a regular basis just to see if we still viable.
So yeah, so gonna close it out with this final segment from the awesome Sybil Wilkes, and we'll be right back and listen to tuning in to the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. Be right back.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Almost 50 years following the groundbreaking issue of abortion, the Supreme Court announced it will hear a challenge to the state of Mississippi's ban on most abortions. In 1973, the court ruling in the case of Roe v. Wade found that women have a constitutional right to abortion. With the hold the conservatives now have over the Supreme Court, 6-3, there is a real ground-shaking possibility of changing laws regarding a woman's right to choose. All eyes will be on the decisions handed down by the 3 justices appointed by Donald Trump. The B.1.617 coronavirus variant that is currently devastating India has arrived in the United States. The variant made up 3% of all COVID-19 cases in the United States. Despite its deadly effects over the past few weeks in India, health experts say the variant is unlikely to cause much harm here. This is due to high vaccination rates and a more prepared healthcare system. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.
Final minutes here of the lunch break on this Wednesday, May 19th on the legendary KYOK. I am Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Going to close out the show with the Wildcat, Fifth Wildcat, Jerry Lee Whitley Jr., but I'm going to close it out how I started it, with some score updates and scheduling for tonight in basketball. As sports agent Dorian Branch said a few minutes ago when she was on the show, the Chicago Sky will face the Atlanta Dream. The Sky is 1-0. The Dream's 0-1. Game will tip off at 6 p.m. Central in the ATL, and that game will be streaming on Facebook Live. The second WNBA game on the docket tonight, the 2-0 Connecticut Sun will host the 0-2 Indiana Fever, also at 6 p.m. Central. That game's on CBS Sports Network. So some national TV love for the W. Tonight, on the men's side, NBA, Spurs, Grizzlies, 9-10 seed. Jerry, who you got? Spurs or Grizzlies?
I'm going to go with the Grizzlies.
I think a lot of folks will on that as well. But the nightcap, Jerry, 9 o'clock, ESPN. Adam Silver's got to be thrilled to pieces.
Oh, man.
ESPN execs got to be smiling, grinning from cheesing ear to ear. 9 p.m. ESPN, Lakers, Warriors. Steph, LeBron. The winner goes to the 7th seed.
You crazy.
Who you got, Jerry? Who you got? Lakers?
I'm gonna go with the guy that we went and sat at in a bar, watch his first high school game. LeBron James.
See, I feel I'm kind of scared because all of us who've been on the show today are picking the Lakers to win this game.
Hey,
so
just remember this. He is the one guy that made a decision, not just for him, for the team, but he made a decision to go and get better mentally, not just as a basketball player. Left, came back home, put the plan in motion, made the plan work. Then once he got it situated, he said, all right, it's on y'all, and I'm fixing to go again. And then he made the situation work at place number 3. So until he shows up at a game in street clothes, as long as he's in that uniform, they got a shot.
Okay, I agree. But how about Steph Curry? As long as Steph Curry is in uniform and riding and hitting shots from the logo and stuff like that, don't the Warriors have a shot as well?
They do, but that team is not the same without the folks that they won the championship the last time around.
All right, we're going to close it out. And as a Wildcat reference, we've been doing this a long time. I've been covering hoops. Houston Roundball Review's been around since 1994. The Wildcat's been around covering hoops and sports longer than that. But he's referencing King James, seeing him in high school, LeBron's first time here in a tournament at Pearland. Go to my website, HoustonRoundballReview.com. Google LeBron James so you can read the article, because that was the first time I saw LeBron, and the best high school player I've ever seen in person was that Friday night and Saturday morning at the gym, those 2 days. So go to HoustonRoundballReview.com to read that. Google LeBron James, and it'll come up. Closing it out.
Tell us what you said.
No, I'm not gonna do that. Gotta go. I'm not gonna do that. That's for a podcast. Chris Gardner of Houston Roundball Review.
All right.
Close it out on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. Come back tomorrow. We have head coach Ronald Huey talking women's basketball. In the second hour, have Willie Gibson talking about a few things, sports and others, I'm pretty sure. Thank you to all my guests today. Yes, others. Thank you to my guests, Tai Dillard, UH coach women's basketball, assistant coach women's basketball, Wildcat J. Lee Woodley, and my mentees, two of my mentees, Dorian Branch, sports agent, and Tamera Knight of the Night Agenda. Everyone out there, take care. KYOK Radio.org. We're out.